This
Okay,
conference will now be
today
recorded.
we are going to discuss appFiles basic training, which is our brokerage dashboard on how we do all things transaction related and basically communication as well. We have one live attendee, Miss Nicole, and we have one person that I can see that has joined us remotely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the basics of creating an app file, and slow me down if I go too fast because I whip through this in my sleep, unfortunately. So, I can take things for granted. So if I go too fast, slow me down on a step. In appFiles, you have the appFiles training guide. It's in two parts. There's the training guide, and then there's the extended training guide that adds the most latest and greatest features on, that if you lose your paper copy, you always have it that can be printed. It's the exact same training guide. So if you don't have this, you do have it. It's just in your app file under the dashboard. It's the very first form under frequently used forms. Okay. So what I'm going to do to kind of take you through the process is we're actually going to go in and create a file like we have a brand new transaction. Let's start with a seller's file because they're the most complex. They have the most information to add. Okay. So we're going to go on our upper left-hand side under your own little personal icon over here. If you don't have a picture or something uploaded here, I recommend that you do so. The reason for this is it's not a vanity plate. Actually, what it will do is if you look down through your history or through your activity in your center, you're going to see people's faces that are going to come up in here. Mine is a little busier than you guys' will be because I have everybody's access on mine, but this is another good reason why the icons help and make sense. If it doesn't have your face or your icon next to it, it's not for you. It might be someone else working in your file. It could be Debbie and I or Haley and I going back and forth working on an element to help you get paid faster, but that doesn't mean that it's something that you need to do, some action that needs to be taken on your part unless it has your face or your icon next to it. Some agents don't like their own picture on here. They put a picture of a sailboat or their motorcycle or their dog or their whatever. You can do whatever you want, just so long as it identifies it as your feature, okay? The way you do that is just right there next to it. It says my photo, click it, upload anything that you'd like, all right? The settings portion of appFiles is actually super helpful as well because this is your own personal settings. You can choose what your display name is. For example, Kitty up front, her name is actually Kelly. If she wants to change it to Kitty or Kelly or whatever she wants to do, she can do that right here on her own. She doesn't have to have my permission. She doesn't have to do anything. You can change it so that it is your nickname or however you want to be known in the brokerage by clicking here. You can also change your email address. So let's say, for example, you decide you don't like your email address or you change servers or you create a GoDaddy account and you have your own server now. You can go right in here. You don't have to do anything with me. You can go in and change it yourself, totally manage it. You can create an email footer so that it looks exactly like your regular email account, whether you use Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, a personal GoDaddy account, whatever it is. If you have an email signature in your email, you can make it look seamless with your appFiles account by going here to this email footer. It's really simple. If you click it, it shows you what you have. You can change it by copying this, going to your email account and just forwarding a blank email and it will copy it. You can have pictures, links, anything you want, and it'll put it right in appFiles for you. You can block alerts from users. We don't use alerts like we used to. This used to be the central communication for the brokerage, and people would blow you up all day long with alerts about stuff that you now find on the Facebook page. You can block users. If you don't want to see things from certain users, you can go in and do that. You can change your password. You can log out of other devices. So this is a security feature. If you think somebody has hacked your account, which I don't know why they would, but if something happens, you can go in and log out from all other devices. You can restrict admin permissions for your particular files. And you can also authorize your forms. If you have not done this, your Florida forms, it's important that you do so. All you need is your NRDS number, your NRDS number, which is your national registry. You can get it from your National Association of Realtors card, or if you flip over your Realtor magazine that gets mailed to you every month, it's on the back of your Realtor magazine. If you don't have either one, you can go to the National Association of Realtors website and find it. It's not, it's not that big of a deal. But this will authorize and link you directly to Form Simplicity and pull the latest and greatest forms so that you don't have to worry if you've got an outdated form or not. Okay? Any questions about that? It's pretty simple. Okay, so let's close that feature. Form values is something else that you can do for your personal form. So let me give you a good example. The brokerage relationship agreement is one that we have to do for every single transaction. You can go right in your forms field value on your forms and type Right Choice Realty Nicole Dahlberg, and you'll never have to type this form again. It's automatic. It's set up so it's every single time, it's just that field value is there. If you charge a separate transaction fee, you can put that in your form. If you use security title and abstract for every single closing, regardless if the buyer or the seller pays for it, you can set that value up. On any form in appFiles, you can go in and set up values. Okay? Okay. So now let's go back to creating our first file. So just below that section, there's a Your Actions tab, and there is a new file tab in green. We just click that and a new window opens. It's got a manila folder colored background here that just means it's generic. Because it's a listing is what we're going to use as our example today, we're going to type the property address. You can use full addresses if you want. You can use just the key part, whatever you want. It's up to you. You can also hyphenate and put the seller's last name or whole name or whatever you want in there. Okay. Anything that goes in this file name box is a searchable field, meaning if I type this in search under my appFiles, I will find it by the address. Okay. The next box down is your file type. This is important, and this is confusing. I don't know why this is so confusing, but if you are from the Fort Myers or Cape Coral office, you use the pink Fort Myers Cape Coral buyer seller pending. Or from the Bonita office, you use the purple buyer seller pending. Okay, it does not have anything to do with where the property is located. It has to do with the agent, and this is so that the office can track how many pendings each office has at any one given time. Same thing with the orange fields. For anyone that is in the mentoring program, we use the mentor team fields, which are orange. So buyer seller pending for mentor are orange, regardless of what office you're in. Okay, so we're going to pretend that this is a seller. We're in the Fort Myers office, so we're going to use that. So we select it, and that's going to save it for us. The next box is a field file description box. This is a great tool. Anything that you type in this box is searchable. So let's say your farming area, this seller came from that particular farming area, and you sent out a sailboat postcard. So we're going to type in this box, sailboat postcard. That's where the seller came from. Maybe you met them through a mutual friend. Maybe it's your next door neighbor's cousin's brother's mailman. I don't know. Whatever you want to put in this box, you can. And then later, if you type in cousin's, neighbor's, brother's mailman, you'll be able to find that because it's a searchable field. Okay? You don't have to put anything in here. A lot of realtors like to put the seller's contact information in here, and you can. I don't recommend that, but you can, and I'll show you why here in a minute. Okay, so then we get down to the bottom, we say next. The next field, you generally don't have to do anything with this next page unless you're going to add a user to your file. So let's say you and, I don't know, Annie Schenk are going to share a file for this particular listing. You can go right over here and click her, and that will add her to your list so that she can see everything that goes on in this file, the activity, the conversation, sends tasks back and forth, everything. Otherwise, you don't have to mess with it unless you're going to give access to someone else. The 5 people that you see on the right-hand side, these are your administrators for the broker. I'm the top one. Beth's our broker. Debbie is our director of finance. Haley's our database manager. Kitty is our agent liaison up front. It's going to get phone calls to you if somebody calls in on your property. If you are with the Bonita office, you do want to add Wayne Costa. You have to manually add him for him to have access to your files, which as your broker, he should. Okay, then we say create app file. I'm going to go delete Wayne back out of there because he's not going to understand why I have a file in Fort Myers for him. Sorry, Wayne. Okay, so now what we have essentially done is written a name on a file folder. That's all we've done, is just created the place to store stuff and create files, okay? Right now, as a listing agent, we need to do two things. We need to create the forms to get this listing executed. And second of all, we need to set in place our I just got hit by a truck or won the lottery contingency. That I am unable or unwilling to fulfill this listing. I need to put everything that the brokerage needs to complete this file right now. So across the top of your page, you have 5 tabs. One says overview, activity log, file info is the third one. First thing that you do, I want you to create your file info section. You click it, it comes up as a template. You're going to click down and you're going to go down and find seller. Okay? And then create the file info section. Slow me down if I'm going too fast. Okay. You can type in as much or as little. The 3 things that I ask that you give us every time is all of the seller's names, an email address, and a phone number. Again, if you are unable or unwilling to finish this file, the brokerage has to have access to your stuff because we as the brokerage have the obligation to that seller more so than you do, really. So we need to have that contact information in there, all right? There is one owner. You can just keep typing. So let's see, here I'm going to use my very favorite example. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck. I can type those 3 names. I can do the same thing with cell phone numbers. Yeah. I want to just show you what happens. When I close this, there's no save button. You don't have to do anything. When you close it, page is going to refresh, and on the lower right-hand side, your contact shows up. Can you see that on the screen behind me? See it right down here? My contact information pops up. Make sure if you do them, if you want to do Mickey and his phone number, you can type Mickey Mouse and then the phone number out to the right. You can use one primary. You can asterisk and say, this is the primary contact number and who it is. Just make sure that we have something in there. Now, what happens, like right now, you just said you're editing one. What happens if I realize, like I see a discrepancy in my phone number there, I got to go back in and fix it. I can just click edit and it takes me right back to the last page where I was at. What happens if I want to add another contact to this, not a seller? It automatically took me there. It's very, very small. Over on the left-hand side, there's that Add New tab. If you click that, it takes me back to my template, just like it did in the beginning. And then I can select a different relationship. It has an HOA, it has real estate agents, it has title company. It does not have a lender. No one knows what a lash is, but there's 2 of them in our list. We don't know what that is. You can change them though. So let's say I don't have an electrician. Why there's even an electrician on the list, I don't know. That's an appFiles thing. They set this up. So I can create this section, but I can change it right now on this page. I can just change it to lender right in that section, and now it comes up as lender, and I can just add my field. And if you notice, it automatically defaults to Tim Hart too. I don't know why that does that either. When you set it up that way, it automatically defaults, and we didn't do that. So appFiles, for some reason, got his name from somewhere, and that just happens. But if you look now on the left-hand side, now I have a seller and I have lender in my thing. And I got to squish down so you can see past my big hair. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so if you look there on the left-hand side, now I have 2 different file info contacts. When I close my page, it'll refresh again, and now you're going to see I have lender and seller categories. And it'll keep going. You can just keep adding. I could put my home inspector, I could put my insurance agent, I could put anybody and everybody that I want. I can just keep adding contacts to this, and it makes a great database for your transaction history. You have to do this. Every single transaction that you do, you have to have this contact information. I will tell you from personal experience, don't neglect it, because if something happens and in 2 years you get sued for something that you did not expect to happen, it comes out of left field. If you don't have all this stuff stored and you write it in a notebook or you write it on a piece of paper and then you trash that, you're going to be in trouble because you have to keep all that stuff for 5 years. we have the master file. So just put it in here and then don't worry about it anymore. It's here, okay? Okay, so once we get all of our contact information set up, which is, like I said, most important and key, now we're ready to add some forms, which I know you've already done, so we won't spend a lot of time on it, but I want to just show you a few things that you can do that I don't know if you've seen yet. On the upper left, you can add a form, and this is going to give you this whole package of forms that are in here. I tried to make it as easy as possible and put the most frequently used forms, the ones that people look for, under a very handy category, frequently used documents. You do have to build your package. You do have to select the forms that you want because every single property is going to have a different need. So we got to go through, we got to find our exclusive right of sale listing agreement. We know we need a seller's property disclosure. We know we got to have an affiliated business agreement, and we know we have to have the transaction brokerage disclosure or brokerage relationship agreement. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so we put all those forms in there. It forms a package over here on the right. Then we say add selected forms. They're now going to come up all linked together. They're in one package. If you look at these forms, you're going to notice that you have some fields that are blue and some fields that are kind of an orangey yellow color depending on your settings on your computer. Anything that you type that comes up in orange is automatically going to fill through to the rest of your documents. Okay? Anything that is in blue is a single add. I don't know why they're set up like this. This is, again, it's an appFiles thing. So if you type seller's name in here, you're going to have to type the seller's name on all the forms. If you type it in orange, the property address, is going to automatically go through to all the documents and put that on all your forms. Okay? Not going to spend a lot of time on filling out documents. What I do want to show you is a couple of fun tricks that you can use. If, for example, I get this back from a seller and I need to send this to someone, let's pretend that it's a purchase agreement. I need to separate out those internal forms. I don't need to send them my affiliated business agreement, my transaction broker. They don't care about that stuff. So how do I get them off of there? I can click edit forms and I can say split my forms out. And I can go down and pick the 2 or 3 or however many it is that I don't want on there and split them. And they're going to show up over here under my general paperwork as separate documentation. Okay. You can also, oh good, Haley's messaging us. You can also do the same thing the other direction. So I have my documents, oops, I didn't get those signed. I need to put those together, or I forgot to add them and I added them after the fact. I can go right up here to actions and say merge forms, and it'll bring up the same list. What do I want to merge? I want to put all these back together. Merge selected forms. Now I'm back in a package. You can do that with executed documents. You can do it with new documents that you create. Okay? All right, any questions about adding, splitting, merging? Okay, cool. You can delete forms from your file. You cannot delete files, all right? We don't delete anything because anything that gets executed, we have to keep, even if it gets canceled or dies a terrible death, we have to keep that for a minimum of 5 years. So agents do not have the ability to kill a file. If something expires or it gets terminated, if you will send me a task, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, if you send me a task to the system, I can kill the file for you, or I can move it into the appropriate category. Okay? If you make a duplicate, if you oopsie and forgot that you made a file last weekend, or you get an offer and you accidentally create a new file instead of putting it in your listing file, you can just send me a task from that file as well, and I can merge everything back over for you, and I can kill the duplicate and get rid of it for you. Okay? So it's there, don't worry, we have the ability, but it's a safety net for the brokerage that agents can't delete files. Okay, Kelly. Okay, so do you know how to do electronic signature? Yes, okay. So that one is pretty easy on when you're creating new files, right? Okay, now we're gonna get a little more fun. On your upper left-hand side, again, you have several other options about how to get documents and forms into your file. Let's say you receive an email from another agent with an offer. How do I get from my email to my appFile so that I can work with it? Any idea? You can upload it. If you save it to your desktop, then you can just upload it. So let's do that once. All right, so we're just going to browse. Go into our documents. Come on. My computer is super slow these days. Everybody has their own little system on their computer, so mine, of course, is probably a disaster. Okay, so I'm going to go. I have a file on my computer that I call conversions, but this is where I put MLS reports or things like that for other agents that I help get stuff. All right, so let's just add this particular document. And this is how you have to do an MLS report. You save it to your desktop and then you upload it. Okay, so we're going to add that one. As our file is uploaded, page is going to refresh. And now on the lower left-hand side, we now have a new category that says uploaded paperwork. And there's our MLS report for this particular property. Okay, so I'm going to upload one more file because I want to show you something that agents usually get hung up on as well. Let me find I don't even know whose referral this is, but we're going to use it for training purposes. This is a referral agreement that came in for a signature. Now, did you notice what just happened on our page here? I don't know if you can see mine. Instead of showing up down here as a document, it showed up here under photos. The reason for that is this document is not formatted as a PDF. It has to be in PDF format for it to actually show up in your paperwork. This one shows up as a JPEG. Never fear. We just open the document, we select it, and then we go to actions, and we're going to convert photo to document. Okay. And what is it going to be called? It's the referral agreement. Okay, so now it's going to create us a PDF that we can work with. That photo will still stay up there. It's not going to throw it out. It's just going to keep it. Okay. Okay, so this particular agent now has a photo document that we can work with as a document to use for file purposes. If I need to make a change to this, I can't really do that because it's handwritten, right? And it's in the system, but it's not workable. So in the upper right-hand corner of that actual document, you have a little blue edit tab. Do you see that? If you click that, it's now going to convert this document into an editable format. It creates a PDF writer. A toolbox is going to open on the left that now you can edit this document without having to print it and write on it. So my change that I want to make is I'm going to change this. I don't want 25%. I want 90% of this referral, whatever the change is. So of course I do. So I'm going to cross out what I don't want or what I don't like. I'm now going to add my text element. Create my 90, put it right there so that it takes the place of what I've crossed out. Now, every time we make a change, what do we have to do? We have to have initials, right? So now I need to put an electronic initial on here because I'm not going to print this and hand it to anybody. So now I go over here to add initial, add signatures, and I'm going to select a role. And then I'm just going to pop my initials right next to my change. Now it's formatted for an electronic signature, and I go through the process just like I did if it were a form in the system. It's the same exact process. Yeah. Okay, does that make sense? You also have a couple really fun things, like I just showed you how to do the strike through with this. You can also, this is my favorite. This is so obnoxious and I love it. So cool. So let's say an agent argues with you about a point in the contract, about who's going to get escrow back, or is it calendar or business days, or whatever the case may be. You can just pop a little circle right around the offending information and it will circle, and you can actually change the font. You can change all kinds of fun stuff right in this so that when I close this document, it shows up. This is what the other agent will see. This is what the document now incorporates. That's what it looks like. So now you see we have our change, we have our initial feature so that it can be acknowledged, we have our circle of our highlighted information, and I could have added my signatures, I could have added any number of things, anything that I need I can change right on this form. And this is actually a picture that somebody took of a form sitting on their desk. I can still edit that. Super professional, I know, right? You can actually take that picture and turn it into a document. Okay, very cool. All right, any questions on how to use the toolbox? You can also do that on forms that you create in here. It still has that same edit button. So you can add fields right in here. So let's say I have 3 sellers instead of only 2. I can change this, or I can even add a role. Get back down here. I can go all the way to the bottom and it says new signer. So I can make this seller 3. And I can place my initials. So then I can take it right down here next to where these sellers are, and I can just put it right on there. Okay. All right, any question about how to use Toolbox or how to get to it? Okay. All right, so you have a couple of options for sending documents. Once we get our signatures back and I need to send them over to another agent on an offer, or I need to send them back to a seller so they have copies for their records. If you use electronic signature for a listing agreement, you actually don't have to send the seller another copy because they get one. But let's say I want to return this offer, quote unquote, to the other agent. I have a couple of different options. You can send via email, which is right here, and that's whatever is attached to this document, that's what's going to send. Or if you close and go back to your dashboard of this file, you can compose an email, which I would recommend that you use for every email that you send in your transaction. Use this compose an email portion because it looks just like your regular email. They don't know that it's coming from appFiles and not from your regular email account. This keeps this copy of this email right in your activity log. Okay? So when you send your email, I'm going to send one to Haley. Now I have the ability to add attachments from my file. So if it's not all in that package and I want to send additional documents, like maybe I have a proof of funds, or maybe I have a bill of sale for some chattel that I don't want to be in my actual contract, I can now add from anything that's in my file, including that picture that was in there. I can add those all to my email and send them as attachments to any sender I want. Remember when we were working on our seller information or contact list? I'm going to go back in here and I want to do something fun as well. If I put an email account in my seller contact list, when I go to compose an email, when I hit my drop down, my seller is already there. This may or may not be helpful for you on your desktop or on your laptop, but when you're on the boat or you're on the beach or you're in an airport, and you don't have your laptop handy and all you have is your smartphone, and somebody says, I never got that contract, or I don't have the proof of funds, if I have this all set up, including the other agent, including my lender, et cetera, I can just go in and go, there you go, click send done. I don't have to try to type things on this little tiny keyboard on my smartphone. I'm not trying to use my, tablet standing in a line for something. All I have to do is point and click and go. Okay, so that's another excellent reason to have your system set up. Okay, so composing an email, as I said, it's going to keep it here into your recent activity. This particular file doesn't have any activity yet because we haven't done anything. We've added forms, but we haven't sent anything. We haven't received anything yet. All we've done is upload or create. So now let's say I have it in my email. I have an offer in my email account that I need to forward. I don't want to have to download it. I just want it to show up. Okay. Right here in the center of your file, you have a box that says File Access. Okay. Right at the bottom here, you have a link that says File Mailbox. It's a 5-digit code at rightchoicesolutions.appfiles.com with a copy button. If I click copy and then I go over to my email account, paste that in my toolbox and hit forward, it will send everything, including the attachments and the email, into my file. So now I have a record of that email coming in as well as whatever was attached to it, and now I have workable documents. I didn't have to download them. I didn't have to do anything. This is really, really awesome on the fly also. You can do it right from your smartphone or your tablet on the fly and send them right to your file. Okay, let me open my email account, which heaven knows what we're going to see when we open it. Let me open my email account, and I'm going to forward something so that you can see it. Let me find something with an attachment. I forward it. Yes. Give me 1 second. Here, we're going to use Kristen's fax here from earlier today. So here's my email. I just open it. Okay. I'm just going to say forward in my regular account. I've clicked in my file. I've just clicked copy. In my email account, I'm just going to pop it right in my to box. And do you see how it tells me the name of the property and then it gives me my file mailbox name behind it? And I just say send. That's it. I don't have to type a message. I don't have to do anything. And it's gone. It's there. Okay. It has to go through cyberspace, it has to do its, jumping through loops. So now when we go back over to our page, we have to give it a couple seconds. And then we're just going to go up, whether you're using an Apple or a Windows product, you have to refresh your page. In a couple of seconds, it's going to come up as a third category called an emailed paperwork on the lower left. And see where it says in this file of fax 2018? That's what I just sent from my file into this transaction file. Now, if I open that, you're going to see it's upside down. Awesome. How can I fix it? Edit, select all, spin them around. And it'll turn them right side up. If they're on their sides, you can move them left or right. Spin them around so that they are in the right order. And we're going to go back to view. Now, if you notice, again, I have my edit button in the upper right-hand corner. Now this is an editable document again. Now this is an offer that came in that I can change. I can counter offer it. I don't have to print it and write on it. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to rewrite it. I don't have to do anything. Okay? All right. So now when I get ready to close this file out, when I say I mean actually me, when we get ready to close this file out and you send me a message and say, Dawn, I'm ready for a file check, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go through your whole file item by item and find the requirements that we have to have for this transaction file to close. So one of them is an MLS report. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to look to see what's the age of the home. I'm going to look down. Does it have an HOA? Are we the listing agent or were we the buyer's agent? How much was the commission? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move it to a new section that saves it as our archived file. You can do this as well. So if you have a buyer and a seller and let's say you have the seller to start with and you get multiple offers, you can put all the offers in here and you can actually create sub-files within this transaction file so that you can keep everything organized. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I'll figure it out. But if you like to be organized, I have some agents that like it and some don't. You can just click this where it says uploaded paperwork and you can create a new section. I'm going to do this for you when you close and you're going to have a compliance section. The reason for the asterisk is because some agents number sections and this asterisk overrides everything. It is always first. So it brings it to the top. So when I close that, now I have a section that says